And we're back.
Hello again.
I'm Brian.
I'm Kevin.
And we're the Horror Guys.
You betcha.
This week, we'll cover the Universal Studios movie Night Key from 1937.
I had never even heard of that movie before.
And there's a reason for that.
Well,
Not the reason you might think. The contemporary classic Survival of the Dead from 2009, which everyone has pretty unanimously panned in the reviews that I read.
mm-hmm.
Discussion of the short film Don't Drink the Coffee. The very new movie The Girl with All the Gifts. And our international feature Audition from 1999.
Japanese film.
Yeah.
And it's not in English, so that makes it an international film.
I won that argument. Our international films are now foreign language films. So
Whatever.
one of those a week.
Canadian movies are international films.
Well, you know, there's like
British,
10
Australian. They're all
10 really
international.
well-known Japanese horror films that we're going to cover in the next 10 weeks. And then we'll get into some lesser-known things.
Well,
There's some real good foreign language gems out there that don't involve The Grudge.
Yeah. We'll expand outward.
We will.
Yeah. So anyway, what did we see? We saw Night Key
We did.
from 1937.
Okay.
Or did you want to talk
Getting
about
right
more,
to it.
more intro stuff
Right.
first?
More intro stuff, like our Twitter, at horrorbulletin.com, or our website, horrorguys.com.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't want to talk about
Don't
those.
mention those at all. No. Don't talk about Horror Bulletin.
You know, we're always plugging our Patreon and the website and the Facebook. You know, if you don't care about that, don't care about that. But one thing you can do for us, share this episode. Tell somebody else about it. Share it on your Facebook. Share it on your Twitter. Spread the news.
Yeah.
We're here and we're awesome.
Yeah. We think so.
If I say so myself.
We think so anyway. Yeah.
All right, so Night Key.
Universal has shiny new logo by the shiny new owners. It's no longer just the plane circling around the globe now.
Yeah, I like how the plane always went down and back up because it was all on the same axis. It was a model with a plane attached.
Yeah. So
Very
anyway,
low budget. Now they've got shiny, sparkly stars in their logo because of their new owners.
Yeah. And the new owners didn't think that horror was a viable market.
It's played out.
However,
it's done. It is so
They
over.
inherited a contract that said Boris Karloff had to be in another movie. So here's Night Key with Boris Karloff, which isn't really a horror movie. We discovered this.
It
after
was
we kinda committed
included
to it.
in the shock horror package that Universal sold to theaters in the 50s. So it's often shown in rotation with the regular horror movies, and is considered a horror movie. It's not though.
It's not.
It's completely
It's not scary. No, it's slightly comedic, but it's mostly a crime thriller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this
slightly
is the first
science fiction. There's just a hint of sci-fi, especially for 1937, the technology.
So this is the first and maybe only non-horror movie we're going to cover on this show.
But we're still going to cover it.
Directed by Lloyd Corrigan, written by Tristan Tupper. Well, if there's ever a name that sounded like a pseudonym, it's Tristan Tupper. Starring Boris Karloff, Warren Hull, Gene Rogers, 1 hour, 7 minutes. Well, what do you do when you got Boris Karloff under contract and you don't want to make a horror film? This is what you do. We start out with a security company salesman installing a new alarm system for a very stereotypical Italian couple.
Ranger Security.
If someone comes in, a light blinks on a big display at the office. And we talked about it. That's got to be the way it really worked back then. They didn't have cell phones.
It would have had to
They
been
didn't have
all electric.
auto-dialing devices. It kind of had to be wired this way.
Basically, just opening the door triggers the switch, and there was a wall in the security office, and it would light up one specific panel, and they would look up, okay, which panel is that? It's the first door. Somebody's breaking in.
It looked very sci-fi for 1937,
Yeah,
but
kinda.
I mean, if you got even the remotest idea how electricity works, you know
Yeah.
exactly how they would have wired something like that up.
It'd
It's
be a little
really kind of
complicated,
simple.
but yeah, it's just electric.
Yeah, the wiring would be spaghetti, but it's
Yeah,
not complicated.
a lot of wiring, but
We could do it.
doable. Yeah,
So the owner
let's
of the
do it.
let's not.
Okay.
The owner of the Ranger Alarm Company wants to buy the rights to a new light beam wireless security system from David Mallory, played by Karloff. He's invented this new contraption that if you walk between 2 points, It breaks a beam of light and signals the alarm.
How high tech.
In 1937, I think it was probably sci-fi.
Yeah.
Mallory explains that it was a challenge to finish this because he's quickly going blind. He's also got a key that will break down the old system completely that he developed on the side.
Because he developed the original system. This guy more or less stole it from him, went into this business making tons of money off it, and he got squat for inventing it.
They were partners or something, and Ranger ripped off Mallory good.
But this time's going to be different. He promises to use Mallory's invention, and he's going to make bucket loads of money from it this time around. You can trust me. Yeah, well...
It turns out Stephen Ranger and Mallory's lawyer are conspiring to rip the old man off.
Mm-hmm.
They sign the papers, and Mallory wants to know when it's going to be implemented. Ranger is buying the device to bury it, not replace the old system.
Mm-hmm.
Ranger stole the patent rights of the current system from Mallory 20 years ago, and he's doing it again.
Well, he gave Mallory $500 for the rights.
Yeah.
And, when you're going to install it.
But he was expecting, a commission on the sales.
Yeah, with every commission, but no, we don't have to ever, actually install it or use it.
You will put in my system, Mallory says, because what I created I can destroy, as he holds up the key that Ranger doesn't know about.
Which is kind of science fiction-y, this electronic jamming device, basically. Yeah.
Mallory fiddles with the key, and all the cell doors in the basement unlock, releasing Petty Louie from confinement there.
And they always call him Petty Louie.
Not Lou or Louie or Mr. Lou. It's, hey, Petty. Petty Louie.
I'm with Petty Louie.
There are a bunch of reporters surrounding Ranger when he gets word that the prisoner downstairs has run off. On the wall of the cell is scrawled, "What I create, I can destroy." Signed, The Night Key.
He kind of becomes a dark superhero, sort of.
Leaving
leaving this scrawled.
And remember, this is Boris Karloff, who was in his low 50s at the time, but he's dressed up like an 80-year-old. He's got the mustache and the long hair, and he's going blind. So he's an 80-year-old mad scientist type.
Yeah, not mad, though. He's a good guy.
He's not real happy. He just got screwed out of the fortune.
Okay, he's angry, but he's a good guy.
Okay, angry scientist.
Yeah.
The thief, Petty Louie, helps Mallory find his way home when his glasses get smashed. Ranger's men come looking for Mallory, but Louie alerts him that they're coming. Mallory and Louie then break into a clock shop, but they don't steal anything. They just move all the stuff in the shop around.
And set all the clocks to go off.
Oh, yeah.
All the alarms to go off at the same time. Alarm clocks, I mean.
They also leave a message. There is so little time left. Signed, The Night Key. Night Key is making a laughingstock out of Ranger security. Louie wants to actually rob the places, but Mallory won't hear of it. His goal is to humiliate Ranger.
Because Mallory's device, when he activates it, it disables the alarm, so you open the door, the alarm doesn't go off. It fools the alarm to think it's a continuous circuit still. And then they fiddle with the stuff, leave the door open, and then either leave the vicinity or turn the device off. Then the alarm goes off.
Yeah,
but
they purposely set the alarm off when they're done.
But they're free and clear and, far away by the time it,
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's making a jackass out of them. Yeah.
And it's working.
Yeah, it is.
Jim Travers, who works for Ranger, likes Mallory's daughter, who flirts right back with him. He stalks her all over town. He really does like her, even though he wears more eye makeup than she does.
Yeah, that was noticeable. Of all the characters, way too much eye makeup on that guy.
In every scene, too.
Yeah.
Picture, Johnny Depp, Pirates of the Caribbean, only he's a security guard.
Fire that makeup person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The press makes a big deal out of the Night Key, and the real gangsters soon take note of it. "A guy with a talent like that should be working for me," says the kid. The kid's men find Louie quickly, and of course Louie is a sellout.
Petty Louie.
Petty Louie is a sellout.
He always is. Yeah.
Getting a little too familiar there. The gang captures Mallory and cracks the safe in the latest jewelry store. Now the real robberies are going to begin. The gang takes Mallory to break into a fur shop, but Mallory sets off the alarm instead of turning it off. They need some kind of leverage to get him to cooperate.
His daughter.
Yeah. Louie and Fingers stake out... Fingers is one of the goons.
Yeah.
Stake out Joan, Mallory's daughter. But Louie scrawls a note on the table. "Send police to ABC Delivery Company." They then grab his daughter and take her to the kid. Travers comes in right afterwards, but the waitress has already erased everything but ABCDE.
What is ABCDE?
Livery Company,
Livery.
which he later has to work out for himself. Meanwhile, Mallory and Louie have a plan. They get just far enough away to run into Travers. Mallory and Travers then go off to rescue Joan. Mallory sets it up so that when they use the key, the alarm will turn on. Well, the alarm will work. He's actually disabled all the alarms,
Right,
except the one that gets used.
Well,
it's kind of backwards.
Yeah, he reversed the polarity of the whole system. So when the device is used, it'll set off an alarm instead of blocking the alarm. So that's that's how they would know where the gang is. Yeah.
The gang thinks that all the alarms in the city are off, and they are. Except his device will turn it back on when they get there. So the cops catch up with the kid's gang while Mallory releases Joan. The kid gets in the car with Mallory and Joan and drives off. There's a very fast car chase, but Mallory uses his key to sabotage the car's engine.
It's universal. You just dial a different frequency and it'll jam a car too. Yeah.
You sonic screwdriver, anyone?
All the electronics, well, not electronics, the electrics in the car.
The cops grab the kid, Travers grabs Joan, and Mallory and Ranger finally make peace. The end.
Yeah, a happy ending.
What'd you think?
Overall,
for a non-horror movie.
Overall, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was alright.
I thought it was pretty. I thought it was pretty fun. Yeah.
Karloff was only 50 years old here, but Mallory is an ancient man. He's well played by Karloff. Petty Louie is a caricature movie thief.
Kind of comedic.
Talks with that rough British accent, and he's kind of comic relief. The kid looks like one of those puppets with lips superimposed on his face.
Kinda.
Yeah.
He didn't move or
his
emote
entire
much
head
or anything.
was just solid except his mouth moved.
Yeah. It was just whenever he talked, it was just the lips moving.
The electrical equipment looks like it was stolen from the Frankenstein set.
Maybe some of it was.
But the special effects are pretty good for a movie of the period.
Yeah, I thought so.
There's a neat trick where they drive a car into the back of a moving van as a disguise. Now, we've seen this trick hundreds of times since, but it was probably a new idea when this came out.
Yeah.
The movie has a definite sci-fi slant to it, and it's absolutely not a horror movie.
No scares at all.
Again, it was released with a shock theater package, so it gets in on a technicality. But it was entertaining as a fun gangster sci-fi adventure. But other than having Karloff in it, there's no horror here. Yeah. Thumbs up if you're looking for something a little different. But again, it is something a little different.
Yeah, not horror like we expected. Yeah.
Not even.
Yeah.
What are we doing next week in the old one? Is it Son of Frankenstein?
I think so.
That's a horror movie.
That's a horror movie. Yeah.
Speaking of horror movies,
we saw The Girl with All the Gifts.
Yeah. Nothing more horrifying than a 12-year-old girl.
I was so pleasantly surprised by this.
I thought it was very good also.
For some reason, I got it into my head that it was based on a young adult thing, like Hunger Games or, the young adult.
And the girl was all special. She was going to be heroic and save the world.
And I thought it was, and I was prepared for, more of that, that formulaic. It wasn't that.
I thought it was like in the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo series.
Okay, no, that's different entirely.
We both were kind of surprised by this one.
Yeah.
Came out in 2016, directed by Colm McCarthy, written by Mike Carey, and stars Gemma Atherton, Patty Considine, Glenn Close, and Senya Nanua.
The kid was impressive.
1 hour and 51 minutes.
Great actress.
Melanie is a young girl of around 12 who wakes up in a cell. Guards come in and wheel her out to be with dozens of other similarly dressed children, all strapped down to wheelchairs.
It's very interesting. For quite a while into the movie, you don't know what's
wrong with these kids.
Because they look normal, they act normal, but they are terrified, and they're very careful with security with these kids. And what's the problem? They're just kids.
Not the kids are terrified. The guards are terrified.
Guards, yeah. Military, full weaponry pointed at them while they're being transferred, and so I thought that was a cool start.
The children are smart and seem to have excellent memories. The children don't seem to realize they're actually prisoners. I mean, why would we want to leave here? What don't we get? What's wrong? Why are people are not happy like this?
So it seems like that
Maybe
they
a little
maybe
brainwashing.
spent their whole life there.
Yeah.
You know,
It's all they know.
yeah.
Which is what
Which is
the case.
what it turns out to be. Yeah.
So one day the guard comes into the classroom, angry that the teacher touched Melanie's hair.
Yeah, because
She
told
was
her,
like, "Oh, you did a good job, pat pat."
Melanie told a really good story, just made up her own story after hearing the teacher's stories, and the teacher was impressed. And boy, did the military guy freak out at that. You don't touch the kids.
And we still don't know why. But then what he does, he goes in front of one of the random kids, he spits on his arm, and suddenly the children get all grabby and bitey.
Trying to break out of their restraints.
Rabid animals.
Furiously trying to bite at him.
Melanie talks back to the head guard later that night and gets left in her restraints all night as a reward. When the teacher, whose name is Helen, opens the door and lets Melanie out of the restraints, Melanie goes berserk and tries to eat her. That does not go well.
Yeah.
The guard then takes Melanie out of her cell in the morning and takes her outside. Melanie sees what the real world is like for the first time. They're all in a military compound, and it's surrounded on all sides by zombies. Think World War Z type, more than the Night of the Living Dead kinds.
Yeah, fast and angry.
Yeah, she's being taken to Dr. Caldwell's lab, where they plan to dissect her. She
And that
literally
is Glenn
sees
Close.
Glenn Close, who's also very good in this.
Yeah, she was. Yeah.
She literally sees some of the other children's brains in jars on a shelf.
And we begin to get more hints.
Glenn Close thinks she can cure this by dissecting them and taking out the brains and the spine and doing something.
And making a
she's
vaccine.
That close to making a vaccine.
What it is it's a fungal vaccine. It's a fungal infection that is causing the zombies. And
so there's no supernatural element here. This is purely a disease.
And these children are like basically symbiotic with the fungus.
They were born with it.
They're not really infected. They're like one with it. And so they're functional.
Well, they are infected. They will attack and eat you if they smell blood.
Well, yeah, but they're like a human fungal.
Intelligent when they're not bloodlusted.
Yeah, the infected adults are just brainless zombies.
Yeah.
Gonna eat you. Yeah.
No fixing that.
Yeah.
So, Helen breaks into the lab to rescue Melanie, but she's stopped by the guards. Just then, an alarm goes off. The base has been breached. Seconds later, Dr. Caldwell's assistant is bitten and turns instantly crazy, and Melanie is left alone with a room full of zombies.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. They're like, "Oh, do we stay or do we go?" And
then
the doctor's like, "Well, lower the shutters," and the assistant is there, literally lowering the shutters, and you can see the zombies running in as the shutter
is too slow.
Yeah, too slow. Smashes through the glass and gets her.
Melanie goes rabid and eats two guards all by herself, but then the teacher grabs her and runs off with her. They hop into the head guard's truck and drive off. Melanie is infected with exactly the same disease as the Hungries, which is what they call them here, the Hungries. But since she was born infected, she can think and somewhat control it, which makes her unique. Can they get to safety? Will Dr. Caldwell eventually dissect Melanie? Will they find a cure and save the world? And who's the real villain here? Stuff happens after that.
Yeah, stuff does happen. A lot of stuff. They go out. They get away from the compound.
Various adventures.
Have adventures out in the world and see what the world is like. And yeah.
Senya Nanua is excellent in the role as Melanie. It's rare to find child actors that aren't annoying.
And the other children too. They were all believable. Good. Yeah.
Glenn Close is just evil through and through here. She's got this evil look. She's got her motivations.
She's got humanity's interest at heart.
But you know, if she gets the girl in the room alone with her, the knife's coming out. Yeah. Some of the aerial scenes of abandoned towns are actually drone footage of the area around Chernobyl, which we've been seeing a lot of that lately.
Yeah.
Just watched the Chernobyl series on HBO, which is unrelated but very good.
Yeah, it was.
Which adds a lot to the ambience. The giant fungus tree and the feral children are very cool ideas that are mostly unique to this film.
Yeah, there was a lot of uniqueness to this. Yeah. Different spin on the zombie, which I
it's
found
kind
very
of a
refreshing.
zombie movie, but there's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah.
Actually, the whole world created in this story is fascinating, and I'd love to see a sequel. They could still do a sequel.
They still could, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big thumbs up.
There
for
are
me.
some twists. It doesn't end the way you expect it to.
And
it's all good.
And we're not spoiling it all.
We're not.
We're not. Yeah.
Some movies, 1937, if you haven't seen it,
Yeah.
that's your loss. But this one's worth seeing just for the ending.
Yeah, and if this one hasn't been spoiled for you elsewhere, yeah, check it out. Definitely.
It had nothing to do with the girl with the dragon tattoo.
No.
Or
a young adult
Hunger
apocalyptic
Games. Yeah,
thing.
it's not like that.
Not like that, no.
The young girl is not special and going to save the world in her mind. What is it with young girls saving the world?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
No.
Not that couldn't happen, but
Well, I
guess it's
in
not like Hunger Games.
Yeah. Yeah. Hungry now?
No, but
You
I
want
could use some
coffee.
coffee.
You want some coffee.
Don't Drink the Coffee, short film from 2019.
2 minutes, 51 seconds, available on YouTube.
Link in the show notes. Written, directed by Alex Bale, starring Kate Lopez and Grace Yao. Under 3 minutes. YouTube link in the show notes. Do we get the girl's name?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No character names.
She makes some coffee in the break room, and it's good. I love me some coffee.
Yeah, none of the lights go out.
She sees a weird shadow on the wall, and what is it? It's a large
bird head
eagle-beaked man with a huge syringe. Picture the eagle from the Muppet Show.
Well,
his profile.
At first I thought it was a plague doctor.
With the pointy beak nose.
But then you do see it's more of a bird. Yeah.
No, you really don't because it's dark.
It's shadowy.
It's a black silhouette. But he's carrying this huge syringe, which he fills with coffee. Arms come from nowhere and hold her still while the creature jabs the needle into her eye. There's a lot of the eye jabbing this week, as you're going to find out.
Yeah.
And she wakes up, and we see the syringe laying there. I like my caffeine, but I don't need it intravenously. This was well shot and well acted. You couldn't really see the creature, which was probably for the best. And, of course, the needle in the eye was completely cringeworthy in a good way. Go see this one. It's great.
I thought it was chilling.
And it had coffee.
And it had coffee, yeah.
I like coffee. I like coffee a lot. So now I want it intravenously.
What else did we see?
If one zombie movie this week wasn't enough, how about two?
Survival of the Dead.
2009. George Romero's last movie. Last zombie movie, anyway.
Yeah.
Starring Ellen Van Sprang, Kenneth Welsh, and Kathleen Monroe, hour and 30 minutes. Now, okay, this is officially in the Romero universe. You got Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Land of the Dead, Diary of the Dead, which we're going to have to see sometime. We have not seen Diary of the Dead yet.
Right.
And now Survival of the Dead. So there's 6 of them officially in the series.
Yep.
And Romero had planned on making 2 more before he died in 2017.
And he could have. I mean, there's survivors, and yeah.
Walking Dead, there's plenty of stories there.
Yeah.
There's always more.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, we start out, again, in a military base that is in the process of being overrun by zombies. We get a couple of good gore shots, and then the credits roll. Same movie?
No? Different movie. No.
The real story starts on Plum Island off the coast of Delaware.
Which was confusing.
6 days after the dead start to turn.
It's like this Irish village. And
For some reason...
Plum Island, Ireland? No, Delaware, Ireland?
We literally looked it up on Google Maps to find out where this was. Because Delaware, you know where Delaware is. It's over there on the right side of the United States.
It sounded,
but they were all
they dressed.
Irish.
It could have been Irish.
And then we looked it up, and there is a Delaware, Ireland.
But not a...
But that's
no,
not
it really
either.
was it, yeah. And then the other clan is Cowboys, which...
Well, they're Irish speaking too.
Not nearly as much. They all thought they were cowboys.
Cowboys versus Irish.
The other ones brought Ireland with them. And, yeah, it was a little weird.
And this is modern times, of course. So this is not like old times.
No.
For some reason, everyone on this island in Delaware is Irish. Old Man O'Flynn gets a group of local men together and starts to clean up all the zombies on the small island. They get into a dispute with the Muldoon family, who thinks killing zombies is wrong, and O'Flynn is exiled. Of course, we've seen all these movies before. We know O'Flynn is really right. You can't do anything with these zombies.
Yeah. Yeah, they can't be cured or tamed or, yeah. Not
3
really.
weeks later, in Philadelphia, we're back to the soldiers from the pre-credit sequence. They now kill a group of hunters in the woods. They see a video from O'Flynn, probably on YouTube it looks like, advertising that Plum Island is safe and under control. The group decides to drive there and check out the allegedly safe island. So at this point I want to say like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, because even if there's a zombie apocalypse, YouTube is still going to be here.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's a one-sided battle between O'Flynn's men and the soldiers, which leaves only Mr. O'Flynn and the 5 soldiers alive. They take a ferry to the island. And of course, getting the ferry to, it's all a big thing.
There's drama, and it's not that easy, no.
Kind of a comic relief shootout.
A little bit.
Sort of.
Yeah.
O'Flynn's dead daughter rides past them on a horse. O'Flynn and the Sarge join up to kill Muldoon. In the meantime, Muldoon has taken the dead villagers and chained them in place so they can stay with them. Except he seems to kill more of them than he saves.
Yeah, but he's kind of got this idea that they're living portraits, that as long as they're
not dead, they're still
they're
there.
still with us, like like portraits and memories, and so he keeps them chained up, except for the ones that go after him, and then he shoots them.
Yeah,
he shoots them in self-defense. He kills plenty of them, but
Muldoon thinks he can train the dead to eat something other than the living. He's even got his wife chained up in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
There's a sexist comment in there that I'll leave out.
And she still cooked him dinner. Did you catch that?
Oh, that's right. It tasted terrible, but yes, she made the dinner.
They were eating dinner, and they were commenting
see with
on
the
how
dead
awful
that
it was.
They tend to do these things that was a habit for them. If they do it often enough, it becomes a repetitive. The mailman kept sticking mail in the box, and the guy outside was shoveling hay.
And
They're still doing the thing that they did during life. Mm-hmm. I guess she cooked him a lot of dinner.
Yeah. Well, he expressed the opinion that women belong in the kitchen and children belong quiet somewhere.
Yeah.
Which implied his children were chained up in their bedroom or something, playing quietly.
It turns out that O'Flynn had 2 twin daughters, Janet and Jane.
Yeah.
Jane is dead, and Janet is still alive, and explains the feud on the island to Sarge. The 2 groups meet, and there's a gunfight. As is the case in all the Romero zombie films, things go badly for almost everyone.
Almost everyone.
There are a few survivors, and Romero had 2 more films planned before his death in 2017.
But the survivors, pretty much the island is zombie controlled, and it's an isolated, but...
With a little caution, they could clean it up and live there.
And it's a beautiful island.
Mm-hmm.
Everything they would need could be there, but no, they move on.
Drama.
Yeah.
How is it that no one but Irish people live on Plum Island? I literally thought they meant Delaware, Ireland, until the guys from Philadelphia decided to drive there.
Yeah.
That makes it hard.
Yeah, you can't drive to Ireland very
The
well.
idea of going to an isolated island has been a thing since the ending of Day of the Dead.
Mm-hmm.
The humor and gore are a good mix, and at no point did I get bored. It all moved at a good pace. Kenneth Welsh is hilarious. I've liked watching him in everything since Twin Peaks, but he doesn't get enough TV work. He's O'Flynn.
Mm-hmm.
And this was also the least successful Romero zombie film at the box office. And I don't think it was bad at all. I'd go 6 or 7 out of 10. It was just fun. It's not scary. These things
5.
never are.
Give it a 5.
Okay, I liked it better than you did.
I didn't feel like there was a whole lot new. And there were a couple interesting ways that they killed zombies. But one of them... shoving a fire extinguisher in its mouth. Boom, but that
eyes bulged out, the ears popped off.
At that moment, it was no longer a practical effect, it was CGI. I could tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's mostly practical effects, but some of the CGIs, and I didn't like those. Yeah.
We didn't give numbers for the girl with the gifts.
Oh, I'd give that an 8.
I would go 9 on the gifts. Night Key, probably a 6. Yeah.
Yeah, 6. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
And then we saw an international film, foreign
did.
language, subtitled. Mm-hmm. What was it?
In Japanese, Audition from 1999. My second time seeing it.
I had not seen it before.
And there were things that I didn't remember and must have missed because, but I liked it the second time too. Yeah, it's a strange movie.
I'd heard a lot about it. Everybody says, "Oh, it's got this great torture scene in it."
Mm-hmm. Wasn't that great for you? Or?
I'm going to say 5 out of 10.
Oh,
where are you at with this?
7.
Okay, you like this one better.
Yeah, I like this one better.
Directed by Takashi Miike. Written by Ryu Murakami, Daisuke Tengen, starring Ryo Ishibashi, Aihi Shiina, and Tetsu Sawaki. 1 hour, 55 minutes.
You notice I let him say all those names.
Hi. So it is. Ryoko dies in the hospital with her husband by her side. Plop, she did.
It's sad too.
He and his son go home alone
because the little boy's coming with this.
Get well soon, Mom.
Not just a card, like a diorama. It's like a breakfast on a tray made entirely out of paper mache, and it's
a lot of work.
Yeah, a lot of work went into it, and yeah, it's sad.
7 years later, he's still single. Mm-hmm. He has a business dinner with an associate who is in the movie business. Aoyama has decided he wants to remarry, but he doesn't have a girlfriend. Ideally, he'd like to see many women and choose one, but he's getting old and his son says he's plain. 1999, this is Pretender.
So, the business associate suggests, why don't I do a documentary and we'll advertise for a certain demographic of girls and we'll audition on the pretense of auditioning for the documentary, and the actual audition will be for a potential girlfriend for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They make a contest out of it even, called Tomorrow's Heroine, and they advertise it all over the radio. Aoyama reads many applications and says, it's like buying my first car. He has to narrow it down to 30 interview auditions.
Yeah, out of
the old we don't know how many.
Yeah, big stack.
He looks at Asami's application and he likes it a lot.
Yeah, she catches his eye. Yeah.
The only one of all of them that does.
Yeah.
The interviews begin. Aoyama is as nervous as some of the girls.
And that's kind of amusing. I think that was the latest and most amusing part of because some of them are just awful. One of them comes dressed as a cheerleader and she's doing like these barrel rolls, and I mean, some of them just sit there. And some of them are so nervous they can't talk, and it's kind of amusing.
It's probably the way it really goes.
A montage of these auditions, and and it is a real project though. It's not entirely fake.
I think it is fake.
No, the guy really did intend on doing a business thing.
Okay,
it's not just entirely fake. No.
Finally, Asami comes in, dead last on the list.
No, she was 27.
No, she was 30.
She was 30?
Yeah, last.
Oh, okay.
Before the interview is over, Aoyama is sure she's the wife for him.
Mm-hmm.
She was going to be a ballerina before she injured her hips, and he thinks her sadness makes her stand out. Yoshikawa has a bad feeling, and he says he doesn't like her.
Just something about her seems off.
Something chemical, he says.
Yeah.
Aoyama is not deterred. He calls her on the phone that evening, and he asks her to meet, and she agrees. Yoshikawa calls him right after he hangs up with her and says Asami's former boss simply disappeared about a year ago. They can't reach anyone who knows her, and her references aren't panning out either.
Yeah.
Yoshikawa is very suspicious and warns Aoyama not to move too fast with her.
But he says, he's a grown-up, I know what I'm doing, no problem. Lunch date seems normal enough.
Yeah, what could go wrong?
It goes really well. Yeah.
Asami seems very shy on their date, but they seem to get along fine.
Yeah.
He waits by the phone, hoping she'll call him back. We see that Aoyama has a female co-worker who has a crush on him, but he's oblivious. His cleaning lady also seems to have a little bit of a thing going for him as well.
No, I got the impression that was more chummy. She's got a family of her own, I think. She mentioned a kid.
He mentioned he was looking for a girlfriend. She looked a little sad there.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
But he only has eyes for Asami. He breaks down and calls her finally, and she smiles evilly as the phone rings. And she's got another one.
And it's like she's been sitting there for the entire time. Like, how many?
We see her
a day
sitting
and
by
a
the
half,
phone while he
day and a half,
thinks
2
about
days.
calling.
And it's like she's been sitting there the entire time. Yeah, it's kind of creepy.
They go away together for the weekend. He's nervous, but she undresses and makes him examine her entire body. Like, look at this part, look at this part, look at this part. When he goes to sleep, she disappears.
Yeah, he wakes up.
Did they
she's gone.
actually have sex?
Yeah.
They did, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They kind of gloss over that part.
They glossed over it, but yeah, they did. Yeah.
So there's a whole lot of Japanese romance here. If you were watching like the Japan Lifetime Movie Network, everything we've seen to this point would fit right in.
Mm-hmm.
At an hour and 10 minutes in, we get the first hint that this might be a horror movie.
Well, it does build slowly.
There's some questions.
The questions.
But she might be hiding a dark past or something that, turns out to be all romantic and stuff.
Yeah.
It's new.
Things get weird.
Now, Ayomi tracks down her old ballet instructor, hoping to find her address. And
because she left in the middle of the night, and he doesn't have any way to reach her.
She disappeared.
There's no answer at her phone, and how do we reach her?
None of her
lives.
contacts work.
Don't know where she lives. She never said. And
we get a flashback of how this old man tortured and burned Asami when she was a child. The old man refuses to help and throws Ayomi out.
This is the Shimada Ballet Studio. She mentioned attending there.
Yeah.
And it's Mr. Shimada.
Little detective work going on there.
Yeah.
And on that note, the actor is the same one who played the detective in the Grudge movies.
Oh, okay. I thought he looked familiar.
Yeah, we've seen him in other things.
Yeah.
He then goes to the bar where Asami worked, but the owner, turns out, was murdered about a year ago.
And the bar's been closed ever since.
Her body was chopped up, and they found her when her blood ran out from under the door. When the police tried to piece her body back together, they come up with an extra ear, 3 fingers, and a tongue left over. It's mighty specific inventory.
Ew.
Oyami gives up and goes home. He has a much-needed drink and passes out. The drink shouldn't have been that strong, though, should it? No, it's drugged, and he passes out on the floor.
She knows where he lives.
She knows what he drinks, and she knows when the sun's going to be away.
Yeah.
Now it gets weird. He has a strange dream where he sees the large sack Asami keeps in her room. The bag opens up, and a man with no feet, several missing fingers, and no tongue crawls out. Asami then pukes into a bowl and feeds it to him, and the man eats it eagerly. Then she beheads the old dancing teacher, who was really her stepfather. As he starts to wake up from the dream, he sees Asami come in, wearing rubber gloves and an apron.
Mm-hmm. Not good.
She's paralyzed his nerves, so he can't move, but he's awake and can feel everything. She begins with a sack full, hundreds of acupuncture needles, in the belly, and then just below the eyes.
Like
needle in the eye week here.
Under the lids, yeah.
Next, she cuts off his feet.
1 foot.
She cuts off 1 foot completely and throws it aside. Then she's
Starts on
halfway through the other
and
one.
And the sun comes home unexpectedly.
Sun is early.
Surprise!
Except she hears him coming and hides behind him in the door. And the sun comes up, and she comes up behind him, and then Ayomi wakes up in bed with Asami. It was all just a dream.
Oh, what a relief.
No, it wasn't.
No.
He wakes up then, and his son has kicked her down the steps and killed her. The end.
Basically.
So, yeah.
Spoilers! You spoiled the ending.
You got to see it for the torture and the story. Yeah, okay.
So it's a horror movie without any supernatural, no monsters, nothing like that. It's just people.
Well, there's lots of stalker movies that are considered horror. When you got enough torture and gore, it's a horror movie.
But just clarifying.
Okay.
Yeah, this is one of those that it's just people, just real.
Yeah, there's no magic
It's all
here.
real. Yeah, there's no magic monsters, nothing, ghosts. Yeah.
This was 19 years before Harvey Weinstein, and the whole producer hooking up with an actress idea wasn't seen as quite so sketchy back then, and probably even less so in Japan. Still, Asami went quite a bit further than a simple Me Too hashtag.
Well, and he does confess to her that it was that was his intention, was to meet a gal.
Yeah.
That while the movie is a real project, his intention was, that this is why the audition.
But she would have done this regardless of his honesty.
Yeah.
She crazy.
Yeah.
The film is very
crazy.
slow, but it's creepy enough that you stick with it, and it doesn't really get boring, even though it has opportunities to.
Even my second time through, I wasn't bored.
Yeah.
No.
It's just very slow, kind of romantic thing in the beginning. And
Survival
it's all right.
of the Survival of the Dead, I was actually a little bit bored sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, but this one I wasn't.
The only real plot hole I noticed is how did Ayame know about the sack with a man in it? He dreamt with it, but he'd never actually been to her apartment, and I'm sure she didn't tell him about it.
Yeah, he was hallucinating stuff that only she would.
He was hallucinating things that were true that we saw
And
off camera.
and things that happened at the ballet school when she was a girl and stuff like that too. No, he didn't. He wouldn't know these things. Yeah.
But, maybe it's psychic projections or something.
So there is some magic.
You okay? We can go there.
Maybe. Yeah. All in all, a thumbs up from me though.
Yeah, I'd say thumbs up. Just not a huge one.
Mm-hmm. So we saw movies. We talked
did.
about them. You guys should see them too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next week.
What do we have next week?
Not those. Next week, we'll be watching the Universal Studio monster flick, Son of Frankenstein, from 1939.
Never saw it.
I guess they decided horror wasn't all played out.
Nope.
Back to it.
Back to it.
Contemporary classic Altered from 2006.
Saw that. Love it.
The Open House from 2018.
Haven't seen that.
And our international feature will be A Tale of Two Sisters from 2009.
Also an Asian movie with subtitles.
What
nationality is that one? Is that one Japanese also?
I think it's Japanese. It might be Korean. I don't know. I haven't seen it. Yeah. Give those a watch this week and see if your opinions matches ours. Mm-hmm. Check us out at Horror Bulletin on Twitter, Horror Guys Podcast on Facebook, or stop by at just plainoldhorrorguys.com. I'm Brian.
I'm Kevin.
We'll see you next week.
See ya.